Hey everybody, welcome back to OTC Fish Keeper. And I've got a special treat for you today, or maybe it's a special treat for me, but either way, it's a treat. As you know, I check Craigslist regularly for great deals on tanks and so forth. And this week I happened to come across a great deal for 2 Oscars and a Green Terror free to a good home. So of course I jumped right on that, as it wasn't too terribly far from my house. A little far, but it was well worth the drive. And now you can see I've got floating right here in my tank 2 Oscars and a Green Terror. And the Green Terror is much bigger than I thought he would be. He's beautiful. A big noodle hump on him. It's a little shrank down right now because, you know, the trip, the stress and so forth. But I'm sure he'll come back real nice as soon as he gets loose in this tank and gets some time out. Normally you'd probably want to quarantine these fish before you put them in your tank. But today I'm not too worried about it, because if you saw where they came from, the house that had them kept that tank immaculate, and they raised them from about 1.5 inches to where they are today, and the tank was spotless. Everything was bright. It was the prettiest tank I've seen at that age. It was quite impressive. And if anything, I'd be more worried about my fish giving them something than the other way around. So it's I think it's pretty safe back here. I've had them in the bag for about 2 hours. Not too bad, not the best thing in the world, but obviously at this point, when I release them, I want to get them out of that water quickly, and I want to get that water, I make sure that water does not end up in my tank, because that's going to turn to ammonia very quick, to nitrates really quickly, and pretty much become poison as soon as I expose that bag to air. So I'm going to let them get accustomed to the temperature. I'm going to let them float for about 15-20 minutes and then release them in the tank. Really happy with what I got here. Wait till you see these guys in full. I've got a red albino Oscar, a tiger Oscar, along with the Green Terror. And man, they are looking sharp. You're looking sharp. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes now, so it's time to release them into the tank. And very important thing, I've said it before, but it's still really important. As soon as I open this bag and expose it to air, the water is going to turn into ammonia very quickly. So I want to get those fish out of that water as fast as I can without hurting them. So now, let's go ahead and get them going. Okay, I overestimated the strength of the rubber band, and I'm kind of soaked right now. But I get these eggs out quickly, everybody can be happy. Wow, I got 2 climbing in the net together. That's the way to get them out quick. You put 2 in the net at one time. Well, there's a lot of water, but that's why I love having this in the basement. It'll just go down the drain, won't matter. But meanwhile, they're looking pretty. And now I'm going to refill that tank back to where I had it before we started this. Okay, so all the Oscars and the Jack Dempseys and the Green Terror have all met each other now. And now there's a little bit of jostling going on in the tank. Everybody's trying to make out who's the top fish and who's the bottom fish. Right now the biggest guy, who was the tank boss before I inserted the new guys, is pretty much showing that he's still the tank boss. But the nice thing about him being the tank boss is he's not real aggressive. So he's not going to really hurt anybody. He just wants to push them around a little bit and show them all who's boss. And even though these newcomers are good sized fish and really pretty, but pretty doesn't matter to the other Oscars, but even though they're good sized fish, they're actually kind of small compared to my current Oscars. So since these Oscars are not terribly aggressive, they won't really hurt anybody. They're just going to push them around, let them know who's boss, and then they'll make out you know, their hierarchy. One thing I was quite surprised of with this Green Terror is that the Jack Dempsey has actually come out, and there he goes again. He's chasing the Green Terror around, trying to show him who's boss. Totally ignoring the Oscars, which is kind of crazy, because the Jack Dempsey usually hides from the Oscars, but here he goes, showing everybody why he's boss. Another ironic thing here is that that's actually the small Jack Dempsey. The big Jack Dempsey is doing what he always does. He's hiding in that log, peeking out occasionally, but not doing anything. Oh, look at the color on this guy. This guy is absolutely gorgeous. This one's a nice looking fish. I love that red patch right underneath his eye. That looks really cool. But and this green terror, I've always wanted a green terror. I just never really saw one for sale anywhere that was big enough to hang with my Oscars, and at the time I didn't have another tank to put them in. But now this guy is both big enough to hang with my Oscars, although maybe not with my Jack Dempsey's, because the Oscars are mostly ignoring him. It's the Jack Dempsey, the one Jack Dempsey chasing him around. But yeah, that is just absolutely phenomenal. What a green terror, what a beauty. Whew. But they're all getting to know each other. I'll watch them over the next few days, make sure nobody gets hurt. And should two of them pair off, I'll make sure to get either those two out or get out everybody else. Because I did go and do something probably a little on the smart side with putting so many aggressive fish in the same tank at the same time. In order to make things a little bit easier on the newcomers and the old comers alike, I added a large fake boulder right in the middle of the tank. That'll break the tank up into two sides. It's too heavy for the big Oscars to move on their own, so they can't even move it. And that'll give any fish who's being bullied a chance to go out of sight of the bully. So that'll give them a place to hide, a refuge back and forth. So if they do pair up, that'll at least give me a few minutes or hopefully a couple hours chance to find out and move them to appropriate tanks separately. Plus it looks kind of nice. I set up two more emergency tanks. So yeah, this one's empty right now, I just have a filter going in it. And this one is got a little bit of stuff in there with the filter. So you know, should there be too much aggression and anybody's getting hurt or bullied too much, I can move one or more of the fish out into these backup tanks. So I got those on emergency standby just in case. Okay, and already I'm starting to see something here in the tank with these new Oscars that I haven't seen in quite a few years. And there is some tail shaking going on, which is often something that the Oscars do before they pair up and breed. Only thing is, it seems like tail shaking's all over the place, so I'm not sure who's trying to pair up with who. Yeah, there. I don't know if you can see that, but the red there was just shaking his tail just a little bit, just before he was attacked by the big tiger. Okay, I call that another successful release and another successful pickup on the cheap. OTC on the cheap. Whenever you get fish like this for free, that's about as good as it gets. So I'm going to leave you there for now, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And hopefully pretty soon I get these guys upstairs in the 265 in the goldfish's tank, as I'm still putting together the goldfish pond down here in the fish room. So until next time, you guys have fun.